So you're interested in travel nursing. I am so glad you're here. This is a series that's going to be all about it. We're going to start from the very basics of what it is and take you all the way through all the steps to the very end of your first contract. Hi, I'm John. I've been in the travel nurse game since 2018. I have traveled all over the United States with my family. Now, most of that has been in an RV. I've been all the way up to Alaska. I have been to Maine, California, Washington, Florida, and all the places in between. It is an amazing gig, and I'm glad and excited that you're here to check it out. In this series, the goal is to keep it around the 10-minute mark, and we are going to chock it full of tons of useful information. So make sure you stay through to the very end about it so you don't miss out on anything. Being that this is the very first video in the series, we're going to cover the what, the why, and the who. What is travel nursing? Well, first of all, this is about nursing, and I'm talking specifically to the registered nurses, the RNs. That's what you need in order to be able to travel. I do believe that there are some gigs out there where you can do LPN type travel nursing, but for the most part, we're talking today about registered nurses. If you are an LPN, I highly encourage you to take the bridge to the registered nurse mark. You will not regret it. For travel nursing purposes, we're talking about hospitals out there that need help staffing up their units or staffing up their floors. And so they're going to be looking for nurses to fill those spots, specifically registered nurses. Now, you can travel with an ADN or an associate's degree in nursing, but a bachelor's degree is preferred and may help you nail down a contract easier than you would otherwise. When I'm speaking to travel nursing, I'm going to be referring primarily to nursing care within a hospital system or within a hospital itself. There are outside facilities, there are all sorts of different travel gigs out there, from doctor's office to urgent cares and things like that, but for the purpose of this series and understanding, the majority of the contracts out right now are within a hospital. So we're talking about stuff like medical surgical, ICU, labor and delivery, OR, emergency department, things like that. They're typical hospital-based jobs. So what do these travel nurses do? Well, they do the same thing they do every day, Pinky. They try, no, okay. The nice thing about travel nursing is that it is the same thing that you guys have already been doing. We always encourage anyone that's looking into doing this to make sure that they have some experience under their belt. We're talking about at least a year, preferably 2 years after graduation of working as an RN within a hospital system, so that you have that established understanding of your career and what you do as a nurse. Now, the great thing about travel nursing is you take that knowledge that you already have and you just move it to a different location. These hospitals are needing help. You're coming in as a medical surgical nurse, where you have already been a medical surgical nurse over here after graduating, to being a medical surgical nurse in a different location. There will be some changes, but for the most part, it's still the same job. It's just different places all over, and that's what makes it awesome. Now, when I talk about travel nursing contracts, there's a couple of things. I'm going to use the term contract. That's what they're all still called. Every nursing recruiter out there is going to still call them a contract. I use that term loosely, and a good recruiter will tell you the same, because it's a contract for the hospital and the agency that you're working with, and it's an agreement for you in the hospital. I say that because the contract is really more on the hospital side, whereas you're kind of an at-will employee. Things can change within a contract at any time. We will talk more about that a little bit later in the series. But for this sake, know that most of them are 13 weeks in length. You can find some that are a little shorter than that, or sometimes longer. It just depends, but the average is going to be around a 13-week contract period. While you may have a 13-week contract, if you're in a hospital like I have been for so long, you're used to working 312s generally. They may be 312s or 36-hour contracts, or you might have 4, which is a 48-hour contracts. Typically, you're going to see the 48-hour contracts come with like the crisis nursing type agencies. That's where you're going to see more of those. But it's always an option, and you can talk to your recruiter about it to see if the facility is willing to offer something like that. But generally speaking, for the most part out there, you're going to see 13-week contract length, 312s a week, or 36 hours. What makes a good travel nurse? Flexibility, resilience, and experience. What these hospitals are looking for is someone that's going to be able to hit the ground running. They are short-staffed for whatever reason. Maybe it's a union where they've had some difficulty with staff and so people have done a walkout, or maybe it's something as simple as maternity leave. You know, they're just looking for nurses to help fill during busy seasons of the year, like they do in Arizona during the snowbird season in the wintertime. There could be multiple factors for why they're needing the staff, but regardless, they need it, and they want a nurse that's going to be able to come in there, have a single day of orientation, and then really just be able to take care of the patients right off the bat without really much more help than that. I like to say, show me where the med room is, show me where the washcloths are, and that's all I need to know. Sometimes if you're lucky, you'll be able to set your own schedule, but for the most part, expect for them to just plug you in wherever you're needed. And that might be every single weekend, or it might be every Monday or every Wednesday or every other day, or however the contract works for them. Just expect that. That flexibility is going to be very important. I would say that one of the most important things before you start getting any further into this journey is figuring out what your motivation is. And I like to say, what's your why? Travel nursing has amazing opportunities, but it also has some difficulties. And finding your why is going to be really important, as it can often be the shield to help you defend against those difficult times while you're on contract. Why do you want to do this? Is it the travel? If you've never had the opportunity to travel around the United States, this is it. I like to say that I live my vacation. Yeah, I still have to go to work, right? You still have to work your job. But I get to work my job in different amazing locations. You want to go to Anchorage, Alaska? I've done that. You want to be up in Massachusetts and all the history and the things that this country has to offer? Done that. How about Denver, Colorado during the middle of the ski season? You can go there. There are so many opportunities for adventure and travel. Maybe it's the money. Travel nurses make on average about double what those staff nurses make. So you'll finally feel like you're getting paid what you're worth. It can also give you some pretty unique tax advantages, and of course, gives you the ability to build the savings. Maybe you want to pay some loans off. I know a lot of travel nurses that have been able to pay off vehicles, maybe those student loans. Maybe you want to challenge yourself. Travel nursing will definitely make you grow a little bit, both in your nursing practice and personally. You're going to be able to meet a lot of different people. You're going to see some different cultures and certainly some different ways around the United States that nursing is practiced. So once you've figured out your why, the next thing is going to be the assembling of the team. And we're just going to touch base on this a little bit and talk more about it in other subsequent videos in this series. Remember, this is an exciting adventure that you are about to take, and it is very important to make sure that you have a good team around you. I remember talking to a friend of mine who was telling me about the time that he chose to embark on an amazing bucket list adventure to climb Mount Denali in Denali National Park. It used to be called Mount McKinley. It rises to a feat of 20,310 feet above sea level and is often considered more difficult than climbing Mount Everest due to how remote it is. There is nothing around and no help for you. So assembling a team to help guide you, plan, and be right there with you if anything goes wrong along the way is paramount. It will be the same for you in this journey with travel nursing, hopefully without the risk of death though. There will be a lot of different players in this game, but on your team specifically, the ones that you're going to focus on are the agency, the recruiter, and the compliance within that agency. Now the hospital's a player too, but it's not necessarily on your team. Establishing the relationships with these different team members is going to be really important. There is so much more to cover here, so make sure you stick around, especially when it comes to learning more about these team members. The next video, Assemble the Team, goes more in depth into each one of these relationships. So stick around and I'll see you then.